Hello crafters, it's Tanya with Tinkerin' and Ink with Tanya, and here we go again with another Slimline card. They really are addictive, especially if you invest in any of the dies and stencils made especially for Slimlines. It makes them so much easier to produce. I'm starting out with a 4x9 panel of white cardstock and ink blending with Wilted Violet, Salty Ocean, and Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide inks. Just quickly applying them to the cardstock and blending them out to even them out. I'm actually reproducing a piece that I had made earlier for a different card that did not work out the way I planned, but will work out perfectly for this card since that was the inspiration for this card. And to take that inspiration one step further, this video and this card are part of the Creating Kindness blog hop we do once a month. And this month we were supposed to take our inspiration from an art piece. I love the feeling of the impressionistic painting by Van Gogh, The Starry Night, which is very famous. I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about. And yes, I know this is very bright colored and that's a very dark painting, but trust me, you'll see it. I get to pull out some of my favorite products from Hero Arts for this project. So I'm using pearlized water, which if you don't know what that is, it is a bit of perfect pearls in perfect pearl color in a bottle of water mixed up and then spritzed on, and it creates a beautiful shimmer. And since I use Distress Oxides, it also helps blend them and create some speckliness. That is the Starry Night background stamp from Hero Arts, and I have used it so often, I don't know if I can get the VersaMark off of that stamp. So I'm going to show you how to take a 6x6 stamp and get the entire background for a Slimline card stamped with that. So I stamped it again on the paper in the Misty there, so I could see where the stamping ended, and I lined up the paper with the edge of that stamping. And there we have an entirely, the entire length of that Slimline panel stamped with this stamp. Now this only works with abstract or not a very solid pattern, something that you can hide the edge, the joining, or with something that has a very defined pattern so you can match it up. You could even take a piece of acetate and put it over the top of the card that or the piece of paper that you're stamping on, and line up the pattern again if it's a repeating pattern. So I did sprinkle on some white satin pearl embossing powder, also from Hero Arts, and then we're going to use some Trinity Stamp Slimline dies. That was the stitched set and the scalloped set, and there's a set of 3 windows that cuts out. And there you go, there it is. I'm also going to use the edges, Slimline edges, I believe that's called, border dies that are the length of Slimline cards, and I'm taking a 3" by 8" piece of white cardstock to put behind this scalloped panel. It just happens to fit exactly behind the inside edges of the stitching so it doesn't show. And I took vellum and a silver glitter paper and some white cardstock and cut that stitched cloud edge from all of those, and the squares in that panel are 2" square. So I cut each of those sections to about 2¼ inches, layered them together in different configurations, and glued them together with the Barely Art precision glue. Now I'm lining them up with the window, making a little mark on the back so I know how long they should be, and trimming them with my scissor. I could have taken them to my guillotine cutter, or trimmer, but I decided to just cut them with my scissor. They didn't have to be precise because that edge is going to be tucked under the cover. So now I'm going to take that 3" by 8" panel and tape it to the back so I know where it's supposed to be when we're done, and drawing or tracing the squares in. And then we'll take our panels, our little groupings of clouds, and gluing those to the panel. I should have erased the pencil marks above the clouds before I glued these down, but it's still doable. And that glue, again, I keep singing the praises of that Barely Art precision glue. It is amazing. I love it. Super easy to use, sticks super fast. I didn't really need the block to hold those down. They stuck pretty fast. And I'm just using a simple pink pearl eraser. I think I've had the same one for a few years. Although if you keep those too long, they get hard and they start to smear all over your project. So keep an eye on that. They're pretty inexpensive. You can replace them or just steal them from your kids. I mean, they probably don't use them much anyway. So then I take my trusty coaster blanks and I trim those down and glue those all along the background, or excuse me, the back of the framed piece. And I'll glue that right on top of the window. Actually, I think what I do is I get all those pieces attached, put glue on the piece that goes behind the scalloped panel, and remember, those clouds are what's going to show. So if you just go around them, you should be safe where you're applying the glue. And then I just stick it on there. And again, that fits right inside the inside stitched border on that panel. So it's easy to line up, super easy. And now I will glue that to a Slimline card base. That's a 7" by 8.5" piece of white cardstock. I believe that's 110-pound Nina Solar white, and it's scored in half at 3.5 inches. And then that scalloped piece fits exactly on top. It's 3.5 by 8.5 inches. So now we're going to take the Hero Arts Dragons and Unicorns stamp set and matching dies, and some Hero Arts intensified black ink, and I'm going to stamp those unicorns, two of each of those unicorns. I am going to show you the coloring on one of these unicorns because it's the same on all of them. I just changed the colors of the mane. So we have a light pink, medium pink, a purple, and a blue. If you go to my blog, you'll find the list of all of the Copics right there. If that's important to you, I just pulled some random ones. I didn't go to a whole lot of effort trying to make them match exactly. So I put down the lighter color on the mane first, and then I go back in and add a kind of an alternating pattern. I just, every other chunk of mane is going to be light or dark, alternating. Then I'm using the, what did I use? I think I used the N4 and N5, the neutral gray 4 and 5 for the hooves. No, just the 4, I think. I don't think I even used the 5. And then I go back with T1 and T0, and then the colorless blender on the bodies of all of the unicorns. And then I ultimately decided that the T1 was too dark and just used T0 and the colorless blender. Now I'm going back with the neutral gray 4, so N4 on the hooves. And a little bit of RV00 in the ears to add a little pink. So I'm going to use the coordinating dies and die cut all of the little unicorns. There are a total of 4. And we'll use 2 on the front of the card and 2 on the inside of the card. After I've die cut them, it's now safe to add the clear wink of Stella along with some white gel pen dots on the eyes and streaks in the mane and tail, along with the Stardust, I think it's Stardust, clear glitter gel pen. And I'm just adding streaks, adding sparkle all over the place. I think I add the Stardust to the unicorn horn and the hooves also. They need to sparkle too. Then I die cut 4 more unicorns out of the coaster blanks, and it's 2 of each of the designs, and I'll need those for the card front. So I'm going to adhere a full chipboard, or excuse me, coaster blank to each of the 2 unicorns that are going to be on the front of the card. And then I'm going to take the second piece of coaster blank, lay it on top of the unicorn, trace where it will be overlapping onto the main outline border, the scallop border, and trim that off because I don't need the extra bulk behind that, but I do need it in the middle of the unicorn to keep it flush when it's in that window. And then we'll apply some more of that Barely Art Precision Glue and pop it back in there. And you can kind of slide it around until the chipboard, or excuse me, the coaster blank underneath there sits in the hole the right way. I'm going to do that again with this second unicorn. This actually, I think this is the first time I've done that. And it's so fast. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. Those pieces are exactly the same as, on top of them as it would be under. So you just lay it down and use your pencil mark to trace where you need it to not be. Perfect. I'll adhere that together and stick that on the card base. And that completes, oh no, it does not complete the front. It still needs a sentiment on the front. And luckily, this worked out. So I took a sentiment from that same stamp set. I laid the Slimline card closed. This is the whole card with all the dimension. Set the sentiment in the window, where I wanted it to be, and it's still a little taller than the card. So I got really brave and took my VersaFine Onyx Black and stamped it in there. Now the Starry Nights background background stamp isn't the only Starry Nights product that Hero Arts has. They also have a stencil, and I had to have that too. And I'm continuing my obsession with stenciling on the insides of the cards. Just super convenient that there's a stencil and a background stamp for this. Although I could have made this work with if I had just one of them. So I just used whatever ink was left still on those same brushes and put that on the inside, just a quick circular image stenciled in, and then I'm using another sentiment from the stamp set and using VersaFine Onyx Black again, stamping that directly on the card base, and that worked out pretty well also. Now I'll take the 2 extra leftover unicorns and adhere those to the inside of the card. And that's it. I did contemplate putting some embellishments on the front of the card. I have all kinds of cute stuff in my stash, sequins and gems and jewels, but yeah, decided to let that be the way it is. Then I went and dug through my stash of pattern paper. This is again some stuff from my die cut with a view paper pads from, probably 10 years or more ago, probably more. And found something that would match my card and used the envelope builder Trinity stamp Slimline envelope builder die set to cut this out. And I'm using the liquid glue to adhere all of the pieces together. And it comes together pretty fast. I love having coordinating envelopes, and it doesn't have to be super heavy pattern paper. It's heavier than copy paper, but not as heavy as cardstock. It's a perfect weight. Now, if you want to mail this, you're going to have to put a white sticker or like a postage label, shipping label on it in order for the postal service to be able to take it. Otherwise, it's too hard for them to read it. But that's an easy fix. Doesn't have to take away from the beauty of the envelope. So I'm just making sure I only seal the ends, the bottom end of that card. And it did use an entire 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So there they are. So cute. I hope you enjoyed this video. Look at how nice that slides right in there. Make sure you leave me a comment. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you can see more of the projects that I create. If you're interested in any of the products I used on this project, you will find a list with links in the description box below. I really appreciate all of you that click on my affiliate links and make purchases. It helps me make more of these videos. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.